But then I was like, oh my gosh, I went through all of that. That's when I decided I am going to turn that into a book, because I feel like my story could inspire a lot of people and it could help them.
I get a bag and you know I go missing. I gotta stack up a million a minute. I gotta stack up a million a minute. In a minute, yeah. I gotta stack up a million a minute.
Hey guys, welcome back to the CWC. I am so excited to be here with you guys. Happy Monday. I hope everybody had an amazing weekend. So on today's episode, you guys are going to get to know me, because I feel like this should have been the first episode of the podcast, but during the time that I started the podcast was a time where I was going through something personal, and the podcast was kind of like my escape. It was my way of expressing what I was going through without having to reach out to people or calling family and friends to talk about it and go into details. And I think starting the podcast with that specific episode really helped me a lot, because I got to express how I was feeling and what I was going through without breaking down or having anybody's opinion. It was just me expressing how I truly feel without anybody's opinion or thoughts, without anyone actually telling me what I should be feeling. So yeah, I feel like that was the best way to start off the podcast, because it was needed, and I feel like that was the right way. Because sometimes when you are going through things and you go and talk to family or friends, sometimes they give you good advice, and sometimes they say things that aren't necessarily what you want to hear in that moment. Sometimes you just want to vent without anybody interrupting, because you just want to talk. You just want to express how you're feeling without anybody commenting. Sometimes when you go to people about something and they comment on it, their comments might make the situation worse than it actually is, or their comments might make it seem like it's no big deal. So I feel like it was important for me to do that episode, because till this day I haven't told any family member or friends about that situation in particular. But I feel like starting the podcast off with that really helped me get through that phase, because you guys were just so open to the idea. When I dropped the first episode, so many of you guys reached out with feedback, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. You know, it made me feel good, because I had no idea you guys wanted me to start a podcast. Funny thing is, the first episode I literally recorded on my phone in the closet. I literally sat in the closet, and I remember I was in the dark and I just press record on my phone and just pour my heart out, and I uploaded that episode without even editing it. It was that serious. It's like, it was really just, yeah, I just poured my heart out and everything that I was going through, and I just used that to make that episode. And I think that episode is so powerful, and I know that with time this episode is going to help so many people when they hear it. But that episode actually healed me during that phase. But anyways, guys, a little bit about me. I was born in Haiti. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I permanently migrated to the United States after the earthquake destroyed Haiti in 2010. And I was living with my dad and my stepmom in New York. I lived a pretty stable life up until the point I came to the United States, because in Haiti it was always me and my mom and my brother. So it's like, even though we would sometimes move to different neighborhood, but it was always the three of us. So as far as stability, I felt very stable, because I was always with the two people that I love the most, the two people that I've known my entire life. But things weren't always stable with my stepmom and my dad. Almost every year I spent summer somewhere different. So I would spend summer vacation at some aunties in Rhode Island, house them to my cousin's house, like then to moving in with a friend. It's been a lot, guys. It's been very rocky, and I think in a way that has helped me, though. Even though for a child that wasn't the best situation to be in, a child moving around a lot, but in a way it really helped me, because now I am able to live anywhere in the world without worrying, without fear of, oh my gosh, am I gonna be able to adjust? Because when it comes to adjusting, I have mastered that. So anyways, after graduating high school, I attended San Francisco University for creative writing and business management. And tuition in San Francisco was just so expensive. I was just like, this is not for me, because I didn't have financial aid. I don't know what happened with that, by the way. I do remember senior year, there was somebody helping all of us sign up for financial aid. And I believe that I did apply, because to the point I even wrote a story. They told me to write my story, and I wrote my story about how I migrated here because of the earthquake, etc. So I have no idea what happened to the whole financial aid thing and why I didn't receive one. I don't know why, but Anyways, the whole experience was expensive. The books alone they would ask me to purchase were just too expensive because I had no one supporting me. I've been on my own since I was 16 years old. So it was a lot. So at that point, I decided, yeah, college is not for me. But I knew what I wanted to do though. I know that I wanted to write books. I know that I wanted for my books to be turned into movies one day because I love books and I love movies. I was a bookworm to the point every librarian in my schools knew my name. I would read one book a day, and every time I would bring the book back, they would look at me like, Miss Ozora, are you sure you read the whole thing? And I would be like, yeah, I did. If you want, you can quiz me on it because I really did read everything and I memorized things. I've always loved reading books because it was my escape. Like I said, I had a very rocky childhood. So writing and reading books were my escape because I never felt safe enough to talk to anyone about the things that I was going through. So I started journaling at a very young age because I just feel like that was my safe haven. If I wasn't praying and talking with God, I was writing in my notebook, just journaling my days, journaling my feelings, and literally just being my own therapist. That worked out great because through journaling is how I started writing my first book. I started writing my first book at 13 years old. And at first, it was just me journaling, babbling, blah, blah, blah. And then one day I sat down and I said, let me read this from the start and see what I've been babbling about. And when I read it, I broke down and I just felt like, oh my gosh, like it was kind of like I could not believe I went through all of that and survived all of that. So, but then I was like, oh my gosh, I went through all of that. That's when I decided I am going to turn that into a book because I feel like my story could inspire a lot of people and it could help them. A lot of people will be able to relate to it. So I was like, I want to write this story. Long story short, I was writing this book since I was 14 and I didn't publish it until I turned 21. And the reason for that is that I thought that I needed a publishing company. And every time I would reach out to them, the sum of money that they would be asking was just ridiculous. And I'm like, I don't have that kind of money. I don't have anybody sponsoring me or supporting me with this goal in particular because everybody wanted me to be a nurse. Nobody cares about me being a writer. So I already knew like who's going to help me with this? Nobody. But the thing is, even though those publishing companies were asking for a lot of money, that never stopped me from writing. I continued to write. I kept writing and writing and just kept looking online. And then I came across self-publishing. I was like, oh, wait, I can do this on my own? I was like, say less. So, guys, I did the work, okay? I went crazy. I went through a really bad breakup. And while I was journaling that breakup and then decided to include it in my book, it's like something switched and I knew, okay, this is it. Your book is done. It's time to publish it. Because once I read it and then edited it and then I looked back through it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a masterpiece. Guys, I was so proud of myself and I was like, oh yeah. I think that is one of the moments in my life where I was the most proud of myself. Like I said, this is something that I've been working on since I was 14 years old. So to watch that come to life, when I tell you guys I am so proud, it was kind of like, I would say the feeling is similar to giving birth to a child and watch them say the first word, take their first step. Like, it's just a huge deal. Anyways, it's called Unfiltered Me if you guys ever want to check it out. This is basically my life story and paper. This is everything you need to know about me. But anyways, let's move on from that part. Anyways, after I decided that college wasn't for me, I decided that I wanted to be a content creator because I've always enjoyed making videos of clothes or just motivating people. Like I've always been good with those things. It's my thing. The other day I was on Facebook and I saw one of my posts and I was like, that was in 2016. And I was like, I was wise beyond my age. The things that I was saying, the way I was motivating people, I was just like, wow. That's when I said to myself, some things never change because till this day, it's my thing. Like posting positive things, encouraging people, and just being positive overall. And I think that I've become so positive because of all the things that I went through. And I always said that I would never want anybody to go through the things that I go through. And I remember my mom always say, never look like what you're going through. I think that I took that a little too literal because literally I could be going through the worst thing ever. Once I am with people, I am smiling, I am spreading positive energy, even though I'm going through my own stuff. And I think that stems from me not ever wanting to pass down my negative energy, because if there's one thing I dislike is when people are going through things and then they take it out on the next person when the next person had nothing to do with it. And I always say that whatever you're going through at home, don't take it out on somebody else. whatever you're going through at work, don't take it out onto somebody at home. So few things about me. I speak 3 languages and a half. My Spanish is a little bit rusty. Like I understand it, but as far as speaking it is rusty. So I would say 3.5 language. So yes, I speak 3.5 languages. I am a writer. I love fashion. I love traveling. I love creating content. I love making videos and editing them and all those cool stuff. It's my thing, which is why in 2024 I have decided to be a full-time content creator because I have been doing this for a while, but I have never taken it seriously. I always looked at it as in I'm just having fun. I'm just posting for my friends and family. But then next thing I know, my account was filled of strangers watching me. So I had to learn to adjust and just switch it just a little bit because at that point it was like it's not just my friends and family anymore. There are people from all places in the world watching me. So it was kind of like, oh, now I gotta watch myself. I gotta be careful. I gotta pay attention because it's like more pressure now. But still, I was always myself. One thing for sure is that no matter what, I am always myself because I don't ever want to do anything if it means losing myself and losing my dignity. I will never compromise my beliefs and values just to fit in or just to appeal to a group of people. I will always be myself. And I think that's my strength. And I honestly think that's my greatest strength, my ability to be myself no matter what, no matter where I am, no matter who I'm around. I am always myself. I am not easily influenced. I am very careful of who I surround myself with, who I call friends. Oftentimes, my friends usually say that I'm funny. I don't like to myself say that I'm funny because I think it's weird. It's like we all think we're funny, but no, honestly, guys, if y'all know me, those of you who know me, I am funny. I'm so funny. Okay, guys, so yes, I like to have fun. I love dancing. I love singing. I love dressing up. I love traveling. I love good food. I'm a great cook. I'm a great mom. I'm a great friend. I'm a great sister. Overall, I would say that I thrive to be the best that I can be to everybody around me, which is why I said that I'm very careful of the people that I keep around, simply because I know how much I give and I don't want to be the one who's always pouring into the people around me, which is why I surround myself with people who are just as supportive, loving, and caring as me. Because I used to hate the term birds of a feather flock together, but as I grew up, I realized it is true. Because think about it, when you surround yourself with certain people, even though you're not exactly like them, as you spend more time with them, you realize that they rub off on you, and sometimes you might even catch yourself doing things or saying things that these people would usually do, even though it wasn't intentional. But just because you're around them so much, it was inevitable that you were gonna one day behave like them or act like them. So that is why I am very careful. But anyways, as we go into the podcast, I will tell you guys a little bit more about me. It would take the whole day for me to tell you guys every single detail. But in the meantime, if you want to learn everything about me, feel free to read my book, Unfiltered Me. Otherwise, you could just stay tuned with the podcast episodes and learn a little bit more about me on each episode. So if this is your first time listening to my podcast or watching it, you should know that this podcast is about self-help. I talk about everything that will help you. I talk about all things self-love, self-care, self-development, self-growth, self-forgiveness, self-everything. So even when I share my personal stories, it will always be intended to motivate you guys, inspire you guys, just lending you guys my strength. It will never be simply because I want to share. There will always be a purpose behind every episode of why I'm sharing it. It's always going to be to help others out there who wish that they would have someone to help them out with that specific situation. Because I have gone through a lot of things in my life where I wish I had someone like myself who would inspire me, who would share their stories and let me know that I'm not alone. But unfortunately, around my time, I didn't really find that kind of person. I didn't really have that person. So I am choosing to be that person to so many of you out there. And I only hope to improve some more. And my only hope is to get better each and every day and help one more person than I did the episode prior. So we are here to grow together, to elevate our life, and to crush our goals together. If you guys have a specific topics you guys want to know about, feel free to let me know in the comments or reach out to me on social media. I will be more than happy to touch on the topic. I can literally talk about anything and everything, simply because for someone my age, I have experienced almost everything that you could think about in life. This podcast will always be filled with some type of value. each and every episode. But as always, it is a pleasure to talk with you guys. I am so blessed and thankful for all of your support, and I can only say the best is yet to come. And I will see you guys in the next episode.
I get a bag and you know I go missing. I gotta stack up a million a minute. I gotta stack up a million a minute.